In a massive blast of power, Akuma pushes back Guken. This is not over. They go back and forth with Akuma telling Guken, the power of the Satsu no Hado will not be denied, not until Ryu fulfills his destiny. Akuma uppercuts Guken into a desert, and then Guken hits Akuma so hard that he throws him into some ancient ruins, only to have Akuma hit him back so hard that he throws him to a shoreline. Ryu must join the Dark Hado, and Guken is not allowing it, until eventually, Guken kicks Akuma into a snowy mountain, and Akuma asks Guken, if Ryu is as invincible as you say, then perhaps I can get to the master through the student. Guken realizes what this means. Akuma, you leave Sakura out of this! And Akuma vanishes. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand, then revert dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is one of the stories from the Street Fighter comic books. Now there are 3 timelines: Street Fighter comic books, Street Fighter games, and Street Fighter animation. This is the comic books. Now where were we? We go back to the current day and where we left off. Ryu was being kidnapped by Bison for the secret society when Sakura accidentally distracted him. Feeling as though she failed, she sought a higher power. Sensing that she was looking for more, Akuma appeared before her and began battling it out. He insisted that she had power within her, and she must seek to go beyond her master's teachings that have made her weak. Ryu made her weak, and he throws her down. You are weak, just like your master. This woke up something inside of Sakura as she begins to charge up a Hadouken, and the Dark Hado charged in her eyes. She unleashed it on Akuma, and he simply held his hand up, blocking it, and then throwing it back at her. As she hits the ground, she tells herself again, Ryu, I failed you, and Akuma corrects her. No, it is Ryu who has failed you. He has deprived you of true growth. Now it is time for you to choose your path. She gets up, ready to face off with Akuma again, but Akuma is gone. Meanwhile, Guile and Alex have been looking for their friend. Tom has been missing ever since he went undercover into the secret society. Luckily, Dan knew where they were keeping Ryu, and he led them there. As they look down on Bison and Juri, Guile comes up with a plan, and then he realizes that Dan is missing. He ran down to the dock to fight against Bison and Juri directly. He drops each of the guards that Bison sends in after him until he is face to face with Juri, and he waves his arms telling her, Behold my Hyo Godoken! Juri uses one of her moves to deflect it and then leaps onto Dan's back, completely knocking him out. She then picks him up, disappointed. Over so soon? Alex walks in with Guile. With their ambush blown, they decide to take the direct approach. Alex jumps in to fight against Orion, while Guile takes the fight to Juri. Alex finds himself being blocked consistently, and Guile goes in for a sonic boom, but he can't even finish the words as she blocks him and throws him back. They then begin a battle of kicks as he's trying to cut her to pieces, and she begins twirling around, hitting him over and over. Bison sees his chance and he runs in to continue his age-old fight with Guile, but Sakura jumps in, telling everyone to stop. Bison is hers. She begins beating Bison back without a problem, blocking him and kicking him to the ground, and the harder she hits, the madder she gets. The Dark Hado begins to surface again. The evil within her begins taking over as she gets more and more brutal and more deadly. Dan sees it swelling up within her and he tells her to calm down, get a hold of yourself, and she replies with, Ryu was wrong! Following in his footsteps is what got him kidnapped, and she kicks Dan into the block of ice that is holding Ryu captive, forming a small crack. Then Sakura runs over and continues her beatdown on Bison. She charges up a Hadouken and Ryu breaks free and tells her to calm down. He runs over to her, hitting her in the back, throwing her off her aim, and the Hadouken travels towards Bison and knocks a box onto his head. Then Sakura begins battling against Ryu. This is Ryu though, and he easily dodges and blocks her moves over and over, and he tells her that he knows of the temptations and the deceits. He knows the Dark Hado looks promising, but don't be fooled by them. She stands up and takes her bandana off. It is you who has been fooling yourself all of these years. She then proceeded to attack him again. You're the one who fooled me. She keeps swinging at him, asking how he could have been so wrong about this power. This is the power that I've desired all along. As she comes in for her finisher, Ryu shouts, "So you can," and drops her. She gets up and Ryu puts her into a chokehold. This ends now, Sakura. Meanwhile, back with Bison, Guile, and Juri, Bison begins to recover and finds Guile standing over him. You will be tried for your crimes, Bison. And Juri comes over. Not while I'm standing. Bison tells her, now, take Guile. But instead, she begins beating on Bison. He is the one who ran the Shadow Lu, the organization that killed her parents, and she's been looking for this chance to kill him. She begins to beat him over and over until he changes back into a blank doll. Back with Ryu and Sakura, he tells her, a teacher would do anything for their student, and if the darkness is awoken within you, allow me to take it. And Ryu begins to become overwhelmed with the Dark Hado, sparing Sakura. Dan runs to her side, and they both see Ryu trying to fight against the darkness, but he can't, and he pleads with them. Kill him while he can still stand still. He can't hold back the darkness of two. Neither Dan nor Sakura want to do this, but Ryu tells them if they care about him, they will, so he won't become this. They both wind up and they begin moving in for an attack until Dan sees a Hadouken coming in. He grabs Sakura and he pulls her to the ground to save her. The Hadouken burns his way into Ryu's chest, and Akuma steps forward. It is time for you to stop denying the inevitable and awaken. Ryu gets up draped in black rags and fuming with the Dark Hato. If facing death is what you want, Akuma, you will have your opportunity. Violence for its own sake, murder without prejudice. Why have I denied these things when they are the key to such power? With this power I can defeat any human, even you! And Ryu prepares to fight. Human? Akuma questions, and then he changes into Oni. I am so much more than human. And Akuma is now purely Dark Hato. The two titans begin to battle with the ground shaking and the air moving with every punch. They go back and forth, warping around and throwing their moves over and over, the two of them seemingly having endless stamina and endurance. Everyone is watching from a distance, and all are amazed at the power that is being thrown around on these docks. They are at a perfect standstill until a man calling himself God arrives. Gil is there, hovering over the two of them. He tells Ryu and Akuma a new dawn is coming, and they need to prepare. Akuma throws an energy blast at Gil and he deflects it without even flinching, and then he puts Akuma into an ice block. Ryu jumps in, throwing kicks and punches at lightning speed, but Gil blocks them with ease. He then hits Ryu with a punch, lighting him on fire and throwing him back. Akuma breaks out of his ice block and he charges in, while Ryu gets up and begins to charge in himself, both of them coming from opposite sides, and Gil throws them both back with a blast from each of his hands, and he wipes the Dark Hato from each of them. Akuma can't believe it. He is human again, and Ryu realizes that he has come to his senses. Alex runs in, realizing that this is Gil, the man that has caused Tom's disappearance. But just as he did with Akuma and Ryu, Gil disposes of Alex in a hurry. When Akuma comes in to continue the fight, Gil sprouts wings and a burst of power throws everyone down. He then flies away and the helicopter with all of Gil's troops leaves. Akuma chases after them while Guile and Sakura help Alex and Ryu up. This is the end of this volume, and Guile decides that he needs to do a lot more research on the Illuminati if they are packing fighters like Gil. He plans to go see Balrog and Vega next to see if they have any information, since the Illuminati is using old Shadow Lu fighters. While the next day, Sakura apologizes to Ryu, but he tells her not to worry. The journey is the true battle, and all they can do is keep fighting. Now the story goes on to Street Fighter Unlimited, but there's no complete arc in that yet. So if you want to read it yourself, that story's going on right now. But personally, I loved these comics. Now, let me know in the comments down below what comic book series you want us to cover next. We're going to continue doing some of the minor Street Fighter stories, but we have to fill the gaps. Do you want Mass Effect? Do you want Silent Hill? Do you want Call of Duty? Do you want Tomb Raider? Let us know in the comments down below, or maybe you can find other comic books. Follow us on Twitter @EligibleMonster, and I'll see you next time right here.